Welcome back to Church Production. I'm Marcel Patillo. What if there was a camera that could do it all? I know that seems like wishful thinking, something that could shoot great video at a high resolution, at high frame rates with great image stabilization and a high dynamic range, but could also take great pictures at a high quality, great sharpness with amazing autofocus, all while being in a hand-holdable form factor that's easy to use. Fujifilm's X-H2S is the next evolution from a company that's been making great hybrid shooters for quite a while. But before we dive into that, give this video a like and subscribe to the Church Production YouTube channel. So I'm Marcel Patillo, and I promise I don't just talk about gear all day. I actually am the creative videographer at a church called Church of the City. And we have 3 locations. I work at our main location in Franklin, Tennessee. We have another in Spring Hill and one in downtown Nashville. Currently, our creative team is only made up of 5 people. A project manager, 2 graphic designers, and 2 videographers. And we service all 3 locations, which is quite a bit of work. And I know all too well what it feels like to need a camera that can not only do it all, but can do it all well, quickly and with ease. I've used Fujifilm cameras in the past, and honestly, I've always loved them, starting with the X-T2 and then the X-T3. It seems like when they design these cameras, they put a lot of thought into functionality, form factor, and ease of use. What can someone be quick with? What can they pick up and run around with, maybe hold all day long and not get fatigued, but yet has everything you need to get the shot you need to get when you need to get it. It's light, but yet it doesn't feel cheap. It feels very rugged, it feels sturdy, and yet it feels soft and comfortable in the hand. And just for reference, I'm used to using this when I run and gun. And this is very heavy. I have to use the gimbal because the camera doesn't have image stabilization, and the camera's big anyway, even if I took it off the gimbal. And sometimes I notice myself setting my rig down just to get a break, and then something great happens, and I'm like, oh my gosh, now I gotta pick it up, I gotta turn it on, I gotta press the record button. There's a whole litany of things I gotta do just to get the shot. But if I already had the camera in my hand, if it's already on and ready just for me to pull it up, press record, that just makes everything easier. And just the form factor alone ends up multiplying your opportunities to get the shots that you need to get. So let's talk image quality. The X-H2S has a 26 megapixel CMOS sensor that can shoot 422 10-bit in ProRes. I'm a huge fan of their F-Log2 color profile. It not only extends the dynamic range of the camera, but it's great for color grading. I love to color grade, and the F-Log2 color profile allows you to really be able to push the footage and create stylized looks that you couldn't create otherwise. The highest video resolution on the X-H2S is 6.2K, which allows for a lot of wiggle room, especially if you want to crop in or zoom in. You have that extra room to be able to do so, even if you're in a 4K timeline. That's something that I do quite a bit, so it's something that I really love to have. The 6.2K will do a frame rate of up to 30 frames a second, which is great, but then when you drop it down to 4K, you can go all the way up to 120 frames a second for that buttery, super slow-mo. A lot of cameras in this form factor will only do 60 frames a second in 4K, but Fujifilm is doubling that with the X-H2S, doing 120 frames a second, allowing for much more creative and stable shots. Great for shooting B-roll. It really adds that hint of epic to all your shots. I also saw very little noise from the X-H2S, and the noise that I saw felt very film-esque. It gives footage a little bit more of a professional feel. It seems a little bit more stylized than it does noisy. Another crazy feature about this camera when it comes to video is you can shoot raw, meaning that after the fact you could still have control over white balance and exposure and ISO as if you were in the camera shooting to begin with. Now, the way you do this is with external hardware, external monitors, or external recorders, but it does have the ability through certain hardware to record ProRes RAW as well as Blackmagic RAW, and through both of those instances you'll get 12-bit color, which is incredible for post-production, and it could be overkill for some situations if you're just shooting an event or doing a recap, but if you really want to go above and beyond with your imagery, this camera will allow you to do that in its raw form. So let's talk photos, because when you switch this thing over into its photo modes, it opens up a whole new world of content capturing capabilities. It has a 7-stop image stabilization system where the sensor itself is actually on a little gyro inside the camera, almost like a tiny gimbal inside the camera, keeping itself steady as you move around, which is, number one, amazing for video and getting smooth shots, but also for photo, to make sure that you get nice sharp images when you're shooting on the go or really quickly. And when you pair that with its burst mode, able to shoot up to 40 pictures within a second, it really ensures that you won't miss any of the action when you're shooting on the go. And when you pair all of that with its amazing autofocus, the X-H2S has several different subject to tech modes that are really good at making sure that the focus is always right where you want it on the subject that you're trying to capture. With all that combined, alongside Fujifilm's already amazing image quality, this really becomes a photo camera that's ready to get even more than you need every time you need it. In my opinion, after spending some time with a couple of these cameras, this thing is a great tool to have in your tool belt. Or if you're a church that's a little smaller and you can really only afford that one tool that you need to do it all, this is the one. This will allow your videographer to get great B-roll in a way where they can capture those special moments when they need to be captured, but also they could use it just to capture your service in great quality. This will also allow your photographers to get great candid shots and not have to miss a moment along the way. I've loved this thing, and I'm sure if you're looking for features like this camera has, you will love it as well. But for now, make sure to give this video a like and subscribe to the Church Production YouTube channel, as well as check out churchproduction.com for new articles and insights on everything church production. And as always, I'm Marcel Patillo, and I'll see you all in the next one.